how did we get from this great big radio, the Barlow Wadley, to this lovely little TECSUN 990X? Well, we've certainly made the journey. Let's take a closer look. Hello and welcome to the first video of 2021. Glad you could join me. Before we start talking about the TECSUN PL-990X, just want to say a few words about the videos that we have done in 2020. Certainly greatly appreciate all the subscribers that we've built up. I think by far and away the most successful video was one I did recently about spy radio, which was picked up by Hack Day website, and I think currently it's had about 52,000 views. So there we are. That's the power of linking one a video to a website and so forth, and making people aware of it. Had an awful lot of comments about the videos, most of them pretty positive actually. A lot of questions, of course, and sometimes the video that I do sort of promotes the idea of another video later in the year to try and answer some of the questions. But we've certainly covered antennas fairly well, and some interesting products. Certainly it was very nice to see the arrival of the ICOM IC 705, which we've been waiting for some while, and was well overdue, but for reasons well understood and appreciated. And it certainly had some very good reports. There's been no negative reports really, apart from the fact that it hasn't got a built-in ATU and it's only 10 watts. Well, I think we all knew that it didn't have a built-in ATU, and I think we all realised a long time ago that it was 10 watts. If you're looking for a higher power radio, then obviously you go for different models. But no, it's been a successful radio, and I'm going to do another video about that. So because I've been using the 705 for some while. So all in all, it's been a good year, and I hope that we can continue doing the videos and cover subjects that are interesting. I mean, I try to make it fairly varied. We've covered spies. We've had two fairly comprehensive videos about spy radios, so I shall keep off that for a little while, although there is another one. There is another one coming up, but that's for the future. So in the meantime, let's welcome in 2021, and I'm also of course well aware that we've got the restrictions. The other thing I must mention is all the newcomers. Have been a lot of new ham radio operators appearing on the air. When I say new, a lot of them are new licensees, but also we've had some that have come out of the woodwork, been off the air for 20-25 years, and have come back into the hobby, and probably rather shocked at the way things have changed, but and of course are now playing catch up. But anyway, so welcome to all those that have come into the hobby this year, whether it be, as I say, new licensees or those that have been off the air for some while. So now we're going to talk about the TECSUN radio, all-band radio. Now, there's been a lot of all-band radios about over the years, and I showed you the Barlow Wadley. And this Barlow Wadley actually was owned by my father. I bought it from my father quite a few years ago because he enjoyed listening. He was not a licensed amateur, but he enjoyed listening. And it was a very popular shortwave multi-band radio in its day. Quite radical in its design, but it certainly was a big seller. But of course things have progressed, and we're now looking at some radios which are far, far smaller. I don't know what I've done with it now. Oh, it's over there. Far, far smaller, and they are nevertheless good performers. And I think an all-band radio is quite an interesting radio to have because, as the description says, it covers all bands. And it's the sort of thing that you can take around with you. You can take it on holiday, you can, I would say take it to bed with you. You can take it on holiday with you, and you can take it into hotels and so forth. And it's just an ideal radio to grab and just see what's happening on the bands. And I have to say that the performance of these multi-band radios is somewhat better than the old radios that we were familiar with about sort of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, these Sony radios and so forth, which were okay, but they had their limitations. But the TECSUN seems to have embraced serious shortwave listening in a much better way. And also, I have to let you into a secret. There were some features which I didn't even realise until I started using it, and I opened the instruction book. Yeah, I did open the instruction book. And there were some features there which I hadn't actually realised, hadn't discovered. So what we're going to do now is to run through the radio. It's the sort of concept of it, the features it has to offer, and also some of these hidden features which I hadn't picked up on. So let's take a closer look. The radio covers the long wave band from 100 kilohertz up through the medium wave band and into the shortwave band up to 30 megahertz. And then on the VHF band, it covers 64 to 108 megahertz. Now, the VHF band is FM stereo only. It actually does cover the 70 megahertz ham radio band, but of course we're talking about wideband FM stereo, so unless it's a very local station, you're not going to hear too much on the 4 metre 70 megahertz band. Now the radio is well covered for SSB. We've got an SSB selector down there, and that gives us 4 ranges of selectivity. I'll cycle through them. We've got 500 hertz, 1.2, 2.3, 3 and 4 kilohertz. So that's quite good. That's very good for even for CW. So you've got quite a useful selection of bandwidths for SSB. You've got an excellent fine-tuning control, just there, I'll move that over, for single sideband and the coarse control there. There's an interesting control just down here, SSB and sync. If you hold that control in there, you actually receive AM signals using what they call synchronized SSB. In other words, you're hearing both upper and lower sidebands. That's particularly useful if the AM station you're listening to, either on the medium wave band or on the shortwave band, is noisy and going up and down in signal strength and get phase, what we call phase distortion. The radio's got a good speaker inside it, very reasonable size, as you can see there on the left, and bags of volume. I won't turn it all the way up, so it will blow the recording, but plenty of audio there. You will have noticed the pull-out desk stand that was showed in the opening video, and if we turn the radio down there, we can pull, just raise the camera a bit, we can pull the antenna into the vertical position there, so it makes a handy desktop operating position. It's got plenty of memories that can be selected there, or you can have direct frequency entry. Battery life seems to be excellent. You get 2 rechargeable batteries, and if you want to turn the display off, you can turn it off like that. And actually, as soon as you touch a control, that display will come on momentarily, and then once you leave it for a few seconds or so, the display will go off just like that. The radio is a triple conversion, superhet. First IF is 54 megahertz, I think. Then it goes down to 10.7 megahertz, and then finally down to 45 kilohertz DSP. So it's almost like a SDR processor on the final conversion. I'm on SSB at the moment, and interestingly, if you're on SSB and you press the band switch, it actually goes through the ham band. So we're on 160 meters, 80 meters, 60 meters, 40 metres, 30 metres. This is an odd one, not quite sure what 13 point whatever it is. 20 metres, 17 metres, 15 metres, 12 metres and 10 metres. So that's quite an interesting feature. It's unusual in a multiband radio that you can actually cycle through the ham bands. If I zoom in, you can see the USB socket there, and that's used for charging the battery inside the radio. It's also got another use which I'll come back to shortly. As well as the telescopic aerial, the radio uses an inbuilt ferrite rod for long wave and medium wave. But on the shortwave bands, there's a switch here. You can switch from the whip to an external aerial, and there's a socket there. And also you've got 3 levels of gain, front-end gain. And also they supply one of these pull-out antennas, rather like a tape measure. You pull that out, and it's got an attachment at the other end for clipping onto something, because this becomes the far end of the aerial, and that is the bit that goes into the antenna socket on the radio. Now, I mentioned a couple of things that I hadn't really spotted until I read the manual. Conveniently, by the way, there's a reset button there. You can put a paper clip in or a ballpoint pen and reset the radio. But there's a SD card, and there's an SD card actually supplied with a radio, and I hadn't noticed that socket. And it started to make sense when I looked at the front panel. On the front panel here, you've got controls like rewind and fast forward, etc., which didn't really make sense until I suddenly realised that on the radio here, it says radio MP3. And if you hold this MP3 control in for about 2 seconds, it switches to the player. We can hear the MP3 player playing. Now, there's no means of recording on the radio, but if you've got a pre-recorded MP3 file or program or whatever on one of the micro SD cards, you can slot it in and take it with you, and you've got music of your choice to listen to if all else is pretty boring. On the top of the radio, you've got the snooze, which gives you the clue that there's an alarm built in. Of course, you've got a clock, and also you've got a display button there which allows you to, believe it or not, either select S-meter or signal to noise ratio, and you've got a lock key there if you want to lock the radio. Now, if you look on the button there, you'll see it says radio MP3. But if I quickly press that button, it goes into something called PC. I've plugged the USB lead into the side of the radio there, and the lead then goes into the USB port. I've got a MacBook Pro here, so I have to have an adapter, but that's a standard USB socket there, which goes into the computer. Now, if I move the camera over here, you'll see at the moment the sound is set to internal. I need to bring that down to the USB 2. There we are, that's on USB 2 now. Now, if I come across here to a YouTube video, it starts to play. Here we are with the radio set to PC, and if I turn the audio up, on suspicion, you'll hear the audio. In Ethel G's shopping bag. And the great thing about that, of course, is that you get much louder and much better quality audio than you would from the internal speaker on your laptop. Well, finally, let's see the radio actually in action.
This is Harvey Cook. Thank you. Delta Kilo 7, Bravo United, attaching radio 59. Air level now, probably about 5 centimeters or 2 inches.
Businesses have had stop-start support as well, rather than some consistency.
Well, the PL-990X from TECSUN, it's certainly a lot more portable than this great heavyweight, the Barlow Wadley. So we certainly did make the journey from huge to very compact, and the performance is good. So what have you got in the TECSUN PL-990X? Well, you've got a compact all-band radio. It comes with 2 rechargeable batteries so that you can have one on charge while you're using the other one. You can charge the batteries from a USB port. It covers SSB, upper and lower sideband. You've got an MP3 player built in. It also acts as an auxiliary speaker from your computer, so giving you some good full-bodied audio from your laptop computer. It covers long wave, medium wave and so forth. It's got a built-in clock, it's got an alarm system. It's a nice radio with a lot of extras. So I hope I've covered it. I think I've covered the radio in as much detail as I can, and it's well, it's in stock. If you want to buy one, we carry them in stock on our website. So there we are. So as usual, thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, I've got one more sort of spy radio I want to talk about, but that's for some future edition. So don't forget to press the subscribe button. That keeps you informed of what's coming up. And until the next time, take care. We are in difficult times at the moment, so keep safe. Speak soon. Bye.